Forget the sun-scorched deserts you know. Forget the steaming jungles of the Jurassic textbooks. There was a place on this Earth, a massive continent, where life didn't just exist, it congealed in the endless, suffocating blackness of a 6-month night. Here, the struggle for survival wasn't fought against heat, but against a creeping, paralyzing cold that tried to turn blood into ice. This wasn't a wasteland. It was a forest that never saw the sun. And in its deepest shadows, something monstrous was breathing. This is the untold story of the Antarctic dinosaurs.
Close your eyes and imagine Antarctica. You see ice a mile deep. You see a blinding white void, a desert of 0 degrees. But 190 million years ago, if you stood at the exact same geographic pole, you wouldn't be standing on ice. You'd be standing on rich, dark, wet soil. We are in the early Jurassic. The supercontinent Gondwana is still mostly whole, and a massive chunk of it, the future South Pole, is not the frozen tomb we know today. It's a land of dense, primeval forests. Think of the mossy, ancient temperate rainforests of modern Patagonia or New Zealand, but stretched across a continent. Huge, towering Araucaria, monkey puzzle trees, and podocarps, ancient conifers, dominate the skyline, their canopies interlocking to create a permanent, damp gloom. The air is thick, humid, and smells of rot, fern spores, and ancient earth. But there is a catch, a terrifying cosmic catch. Because of the Earth's tilt, even in this warm era, this land faces an inevitable, terrifying monster, the polar night. For 6 straight months, the sun simply disappears. It dips below the horizon in autumn and does not return until spring. 6 months of unrelenting darkness. As our story begins, the final, pale gold rays of the autumn sun are vanishing. The temperature, once a mild 15 degrees Celsius, 60 Fahrenheit, is beginning to plunge. The humid air turns brittle. Mist rises from the forest floor, only to freeze mid-air, settling as an alien, sparkling frost on leaves that have never known ice. This isn't a temporary chill. It is the beginning of a long, dark siege. All around, the sounds of life are changing. The frantic calls of insect summer are silenced. The migration flocks of smaller, feathered pterosaurs have already left. The continent is settling into a deep, terrifying silence. And in this silence, only the most specialized, the most resilient, and the most desperate remain.
For a century, science taught us that dinosaurs were slow, sluggish, reptilian beasts, that they were cold-blooded, ectothermic, needing the sun's warmth to move, to hunt, to think. They were, according to this view, glorified lizards. But if that was true, then the creature we are looking at in the Antarctic dark would be a statue. He would be dead, frozen solid. He is not dead. In fact, he is the apex. Let me introduce you to Cryolophosaurus. His name means cold crest lizard, and he is the embodiment of Antarctic resilience. At almost 20 feet long and weighing nearly half a ton, he is the largest theropod, predatory dinosaur, of his time on this continent. In the absolute pitch black of the Araucaria forest, he is invisible. But we can see him through his adaptations. Cryolophosaurus is not a sluggish reptile. His metabolism is burning hot, a ferocious internal furnace that requires a terrifying amount of fuel. He is warm-blooded, or at the very least, something far more advanced than a crocodile. His body is built to fight the freeze. He doesn't have scales, he has protofeathers. Thick, dark, downy filaments cover his body, trapping a layer of warm air against his skin, acting like the advanced insulated jacket of a modern polar explorer. He is defined by the unique feature atop his skull, a bizarre, singular crest that rises from his forehead and curls forward like a frozen wave or a 1950s pompadour. This crest isn't a weapon. It's too fragile. In the spring light, it might be brightly colored for display, a signal to rivals or potential mates. But now, in the endless night, it is a mystery. Does it help with sound resonance in the silent forest? Is it a thermal regulator? Or is it simply a relic of a time before the dark?
As he moves, his great feet, broad and stabilizing, crunch softly on the frozen ferns. He is hungry, and his hunt has just begun.
In the permanent night of the Jurassic Pole, normal eyes are useless. A creature dependent on daylight is blind, helpless, and instantly becomes prey. To survive here, evolution was forced to commit to an expensive, high-stakes adaptation, the modification of the skull itself. To hunt in a world with no light, Cryolophosaurus had to become something else. If you were to see his skull, the most striking feature wouldn't be his teeth, but his eyes, or rather the holes where they sat. His orbital sockets are immense, proportionally much larger than his cousins living in the warm severance zones. Within these sockets sit eyes the size of grapefruits. These are not reptilian slits. They are highly complex optical instruments, packed with a density of light-gathering cells, rods, that dwarf any modern predator. His pupils can dilate to engulf almost the entire eye, drinking in the faintest shimmer of starlight that manages to filter through the dense canopy. In the utter blackness, these eyes would not appear normal. If you hit them with a light source, they would flash back with a haunting, ghostly eye shine, a tapetum lucidum, like a giant, terrifying cat. He is listening to the darkness, but not just with sound. His entire face is a sensory array. A Cryolophosaurus on the hunt is a terrifying synergy of senses. He walks with a peculiar, deliberate gait, turning his head from side to side. His enormous olfactory bulb, the scent processing center of his brain, is enlarged. He can smell the rot of a carcass 5 miles away, even through the freezing air. He can sense the heat signature of a warm mammal hiding under the frost. In this moment, his eyes lock onto a shape. It's a shape we would see as nothing, but to him it is a target. The target is moving, unaware that the dark has eyes. It is another specialist, an animal that thought it was the king of the night, until now. When the lights go out for 6 months, the food chain doesn't disappear, it just becomes extremely specialized. The largest animals, the massive, long-necked sauropods that dominate the sunny continents, cannot survive here. There's not enough vegetation to sustain their bulk through the dark. The Antarctic ecosystem is a world of small to medium specialists, and tonight, one specialist has made a fatal error. The target is a tritylodont, a creature that blurs the line between reptile and mammal. It's small, maybe the size of a modern badger, covered in fur, with complex teeth for grinding the tough frozen ferns. Tritylodonts are highly successful. They dig burrow systems, they have high metabolisms, and they own the night. Or they thought they did. This particular tritylodont is foraging, digging through a patch of frozen moss, confident in its camouflage and its own ability to hear any predator. But the Cryolophosaurus is not any predator. He has used the sound of the tritylodont's own digging to mask his approach. He has moved into a position just 10 feet away, perfectly still, his great feathered form blending into the shape of an upturned tree root. His breath is held. His pupils are wide. The attack is instantaneous. It is an explosion of half a ton of muscle in a silent world. The Cryolophosaurus bursts forward, his powerful legs driving him across the clearing in 2 massive bounds. His great grapefruit-sized eyes process the tritylodont's panicked attempt to turn and run in milliseconds. He doesn't strike with his mouth, he strikes with his foot. One of his massive 3-toed feet, armed with 4-inch raptor-like talons, slams down on the small creature. The impact isn't just a hit, it's a structural collapse. The tritylodont's spine is shattered instantly. The crime of the night is solved in an instant. The Cryolophosaurus leans down. His teeth, serrated like steak knives, are designed for slicing. He doesn't eat the whole animal like a crocodile. He deftly, precisely strips the warmest, most nutrient-rich organs first, the liver, the heart. The meat is fuel. It keeps the furnace burning. In the Antarctic night, you either keep burning or you become the fuel.
In the Antarctic wilderness, there is no loyalty. There is no pack mentality. There is only survival. And when the endless night reaches its absolute, bitter midpoint, hunger can turn a friend, a rival, or even a mate into nothing more than a resource. The Cryolophosaurus we have been following, let's call him the crested male, is finished with his small meal. The Tritylodont was barely an appetizer for a creature of his size, but as he stands over the small, steaming remains, a new sensation replaces his hunger. It is fear. His grapefruit-sized eyes have registered a change in the blackness. Another shape is moving through the trees. This is not another prey item. The odor that hits his advanced olfactory bulb is unmistakable. It is the scent of his own kind. But this other Cryolophosaurus is different. This is an old male. We can tell because his crest, seen in the starlight, is not a perfect curve. It is scarred, a jagged piece missing from a fight years ago. He is massive, perhaps 10% larger than our crested male, and he is ravaged by hunger. In this 6-month dark, he hasn't successfully killed anything substantial in weeks. His own high metabolism is starting to cannibalize his own muscle tissue. He is desperate. He is insane with starvation. Our crested male knows the rules. There is no territorial dispute here. There is no mating dance. There is only predator and prey. The old male sees the remains of the Tritylodont and snaps his jaws, but his eyes immediately lock on to the crested male. This is the resource he was seeking, half a ton of meat warmed by a beating heart. The crested male stands his ground, raising his feathered body to appear larger. He snaps his head, display his own intact crest. In the spring, this might work. Now, in the dead of night, it is an invitation. The old male attacks.
The silence of the Antarctic night is shattered by a sound that hasn't been heard for months. The explosive collision of two apex predators. The old male strikes first, his massive skull used as a battering ram, slamming into the chest of the younger crested male. There is no grace in this fight. This is a brutal, primal struggle for calories. They grapple in the dark, their powerful claws raking through layers of insulating feathers and thick skin. Warm blood, rich and steaming in the sub-zero air, spills onto the frozen ferns, creating a dark, spreading stain in the starlight. The younger male tries to use his agility, snapping his jaws at the old male's throat, but the elder is experienced. He uses his weight to pin the younger dinosaur against a massive frost-covered araucaria tree. The trunk groans under the pressure. The air is filled with the sounds of heavy, labored breathing and the wet tearing of flesh. Every movement costs immense energy, energy that neither can afford to lose. In the pitch black, they are guided by touch and the heat of each other's wounds. The old male locks his teeth onto the younger one's shoulder, seeking to crush the bone. But the crested male lets out a guttural roar and thrashes with all his might, using his powerful tail to sweep the old male's legs. They both tumble into the frozen undergrowth, a chaotic mass of limbs and teeth. For a moment, they lie there, gasping, their internal furnaces working overtime to keep their muscles from seizing in the cold. The younger male realizes he cannot win this head-on. He scrambles to his feet and retreats into the thickest part of the forest, leaving the old male with only a mouthful of feathers and a lingering scent of blood. The predator has survived, but the cost of the fight will haunt him through the remaining weeks of the dark.
While the giants fight, a secret world of smaller, more terrifying opportunists emerge from the shadows. The blood spilled by the Cryolophosaurus has acted like a beacon, sending a chemical signal through the still, freezing air. This is the dinner bell for the Antarctic scavengers. From under the logs and within the hollowed-out trunks of rotting conifers, creatures begin to creep towards the site of the struggle. These are not the noble hunters of the day. These are the cleaners of the night. The first to arrive are the Lialanosaura. These small, herbivorous dinosaurs are often thought of as peaceful, but in the desperate midwinter, they are opportunists. They have incredibly large eyes, even bigger than the Cryolophosaurs relative to their size, allowing them to see every detail of the forest floor. They don't come for the meat, but for the nutrient-rich mosses stirred up by the fight, and perhaps the occasional insect frozen in the churned earth. But behind them come the true specialists, the prehistoric equivalents of hyenas. Small, fast, and armed with needle-like teeth, these feathered Maniraptorans move in eerie silence. They don't wait for a kill to be finished. They begin to pick at the droplets of blood and discarded scraps of flesh left behind. They are like ghosts, appearing and disappearing into the mist. The forest floor becomes a frantic scene of competition. Every calorie is a lifeline. A single scrap of fat can mean the difference between seeing the spring and freezing in one's sleep. These scavengers are highly efficient, leaving nothing behind. By the time the wind picks up again, even the blood-soaked soil has been licked clean. The Antarctic night does not tolerate waste. It is a closed system, a cycle of energy where the death of one is the only hope for the many.
There is a common misconception that the world of the dinosaurs stopped when the temperature dropped. We imagine them curling up in caves, sinking into a deep, lizard-like sleep to wait for the sun. But in the heart of the Antarctic forest, the reality is far more active and far more grueling. Hibernation is a luxury that many of these creatures cannot afford. To shut down the body in such a cold environment is to risk never waking up. Instead of sleeping, the inhabitants of the South Pole have mastered the art of low power mode. Many of the smaller dinosaurs and mammal-like reptiles enter a state of torpor during the coldest weeks. Their heart rates slow, their body temperatures drop slightly, and they huddle together in communal burrows. Deep beneath the frost line, dozens of small, furry, and feathered bodies intertwine, sharing the precious heat generated by their metabolisms. It is a fragile equilibrium. If the huddle breaks, the cold seeps in, and the entire group perishes. For the larger Cryolophosaurus, torpor is not an option. His massive body requires a constant high-energy intake to maintain its core temperature. He is a prisoner of his own size. He must keep moving. He spends his days, which are indistinguishable from nights, patrolling a vast territory, looking for the huddles of others. He has become a specialist in mining for food, using his powerful claws to dig into the frozen earth, trying to unearth the burrows of hibernating prey. It is a slow, agonizing process. The ground is like stone. His energy reserves are flagging. His ribs are beginning to show through his thick coat of proto-feathers. He is a ghost haunting his own kingdom, a king of a land that offers him nothing but darkness and ice. Every step is a calculation. Every breath is a gamble. This is the true face of Jurassic survival, not a roar of triumph, but a quiet, persistent struggle against the void. As the 5th month of darkness begins, a strange phenomenon takes over the sky. Above the canopy of the Araucaria trees, the atmosphere begins to shimmer. Green, violet, and crimson ribbons of light dance across the heavens, the aurora australis. In a world without a sun, these lights are the only source of illumination, casting a surreal, flickering glow over the white frosted forest. For the Cryolophosaurus, the lights offer a brief tactical advantage. The shifting colors reflect off the ice crystals in the air, creating a dim, ethereal light that his sensitive eyes can use. He stands on a ridge, his silhouette framed by a sky of fire and emerald. For a moment, the forest is transformed from a tomb into a cathedral. He can see the distant mountains, the jagged peaks of the Transantarctic Range, glowing like ghosts on the horizon. But the beauty is a mask for a deadly drop in temperature. The clear skies that allow the aurora to shine also mean that the last remnants of the Earth's heat are escaping into space. This is the deep freeze, the temperature plummeting to levels that threaten to crack the very trees. The sap inside the conifers freezes and expands, causing the trunks to explode with the sound of gunshot. The Cryolophosaurus hunkers down in the lee of a massive rock formation. He tucks his head under his feathered arm, trying to protect his sensitive nostrils and eyes from the biting air. The aurora dances above him, indifferent to his struggle. He is a speck of warm blood in a universe of cold stone and cosmic radiation. The lights are a reminder that the world is still turning, that the sun still exists somewhere far beyond the curve of the Earth. But for now, he is alone in the beautiful, deadly glow of the polar night.
Time has lost all meaning in the dark, but the biology of the planet does not forget. After 6 months of shadows, the horizon begins to change. It starts as a faint, almost imperceptible bruising of the sky, a deep royal blue that replaces the absolute black. Then, a sliver of pale violet.
The animals of the forest feel it before they see it. The air changes. The heavy, oppressive weight of the night begins to lift. The Cryolophosaurus emerges from his shelter. He is a shadow of his former self, lean, scarred, and exhausted. His feathers are matted with frost and dried blood. He climbs to the highest point of his territory and turns his grapefruit-sized eyes toward the east. His pupils, which have been dilated for months, begin to contract for the first time. It is painful, but it is the most welcome pain he has ever felt. And then it happens. A single blinding spark of gold breaks over the horizon. The sun. It doesn't bring warmth immediately, but it brings something more important: the end of the siege. The golden light hits the top of the Araucaria trees, turning the frost into 1,000,000 shimmering diamonds. The forest, which had been silent and gray, suddenly erupts in color. The green of the needles, the deep brown of the bark, the red of the Cryolophosaurus's crest. The spring will bring its own challenges: floods from melting snow, the return of massive rivals, the frantic race to mate and nest. But he has done what seemed impossible. He has survived the longest night on Earth. He lets out a roar, not a low rumble of the dark, but a loud, piercing cry that echoes across the valley. It is a declaration. The king of Antarctica is still here. The ice has not broken him. The dark has not swallowed him. He is the Cryolophosaurus, and he has reclaimed his world of light.